Welcome back to another episode of That's Business. Today, you are hearing about how to get out of your own head by your host, Angela Buccellato. Now, the reason I want to bring up this topic today is because it's something that's been happening a lot. And the reoccurring theme with clients, with friends, with family members, with myself even, is how we are our own worst enemy. And this isn't going to turn into a Tony Robbins podcast or something that's super toxic positivity and just get out of your own head. But I want to tell my story and hope this is a source of inspiration or just vibe with you on why you should get out of your own head yourself. Now, throwing it back to when I was growing up, I was shy. I know that's crazy to think about now that I have my own podcast and my own business and I post on social media almost every day. But if you could believe it, I was a shy kid. I was friendly with everyone, was in different groups growing up, high school, middle school, elementary school. I was the kid that was cool with everyone. My friend group varied, and I was the one that was just like cool with everyone. But really what I was focused on growing up was I didn't want to ruffle feathers. I didn't want to go through confrontation. I didn't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or act the wrong way. I wanted to fit in. But being 5'4" and 130 pounds in the fifth grade, it makes it a little hard to fit in. And this is where, as I grew up, I decided to take some adventures. I went away to school, went to Penn State, and it took me realizing after one toxic relationship after another of bad partners, bad boyfriends, and just seeing different situations that happened to me of getting blamed for things I didn't do, or just catching, hilarious enough, the short end of the stick where certain friends had falling out and somehow I got blamed for that when I had nothing to do with it. So that's happened more than one time in my life. And it caused me to really step back and say, what are you doing? I vividly remember, I think it was my junior or senior year of college, where after this horrendous man I was dating, would call me fat, tell me I'm going nowhere with my life, and just fed into that negative self-image I had of myself. And I had a situation where he did not feel bad for me at all when I got in trouble for something. And this is where it took me to say, what am I doing? Why am I working with someone, dating someone that could care less if something happened to me tomorrow? So at that point, I started speaking my mind. I started having those thoughts that I didn't want to ruffle feathers. Those went away. I said what I wanted to. And I realized the right people were attracted to that, or the right friends had my back and things like that. So when I graduated college, as you know, I went into recruiting. And I did all the right things. I got the 4-year degree. I did what I was told. I didn't negotiate my salary. I did all the checkbox things you're you're supposed to do. But what it ultimately ended up with is I was underpaid. It ended up I was degraded, saying, again, I'm going to go nowhere in my life. There's a reoccurring theme here when I quit that job. And all of that was just mind-blowing to me. And I thought, oh, maybe this is just this company. Let's move on to another one. So when I found myself in technical recruiting, did all the things again. But now I spoke my mind. I spoke my mind a lot more. I still did at that first job. But, your first job out of college, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out. And I ended up at this technical recruiting company where I spoke my mind. I reported things to corporate that I thought were wrong. And I was what I thought they wanted was a leader. And that's what I did. I stepped up to mentor people. I stepped up to train new employees. I won most likely to succeed in my onboarding class that was voted by peers. And you couldn't vote for yourself. So I did not vote for myself for that. But I did all the right things. I worked nights. I worked weekends. I did what you would think would make for a great employee to get promoted, to get the money they deserve. Well, it actually did the opposite. I came back, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, I'm sorry I've told this story 5 million times. I went to Italy for 2 weeks with my family, and I had the whole eat, pray, love experience of like, why am I stressing about a job that literally does not care about me? I'm just a number. I'm just a cog in the wheel. And I came back and I was fired for lack of productivity, because I was out for 2 weeks, halfway across the world. And that to me was the most eye-opening thing, where I was going to get fired. That to me was the most devastating thing in the whole world. I mean, maybe not the most, but up there. I mean, I've lost family members. I've had a cousin drop dead at 30 years old from some crazy heart condition that was undetected. I mean, I've gone through enough trauma not to trauma bond with all of you today, but I really thought I would never be fired from a job. I've been a hard worker for as long as I can remember, even helping out with our family's business in middle school, not against child labor laws, just helping my mom or watching her work and wanting to be a part of that, helping around the house, just seeing the greatness that it was. So I had instilled in me a strong work ethic. I always have, working since I could, having lemonade stands growing up, just doing what I could and really bonding with people. So when I found myself fired, I was just like, what? I'm going to get fired? How am I going to get fired? Because in my head, someone that got fired was no showing to their job, was doing things inappropriately. They deserve to get fired. I didn't have the picture of someone like myself who worked their booty off, who did what they needed to do, who stepped up and beyond. That wasn't my vision of who gets fired. So my whole world was rocked. The worst thing happened. And when I went home and I announced the resume rescue, because I had it started in 2017, I had the LLC, the website, baseline. Had the ownership rights to the name, great. But when I announced the company, I should say, I got to see the real people that came out. I had family members say, even my very best friend, oldest friend I had of 20 plus years, say, oh, are you sure you're going to do that? Are you sure that's a good idea? And to me, that was devastating. I used to care. I should have gotten paid for how much I cared what people thought about me. Right now, I'd be retired in the Mediterranean on my massive yacht if I received $1 for every time I cared what someone thought about me up until my early 20s. And with that process came losing friends, losing family. Just feeling defeat of why am I doing this? Why is this happening? And it took me finally having a partner that wasn't toxic. Someone who saw me for who I was, who encouraged me and was great. Like, oh, okay. Or meeting complete strangers who are like, that's a great business model. I love this. Or even the pandemic. We were all forced to be inside. And I was receiving business. I was seeing glowing results from clients, or people receiving crazy job offers, $50,000, $40,000, $30,000 more than what they were making, and singing my praises, or complete strangers just sharing my information on LinkedIn and on social media. And I was like, well, how are complete strangers or people I just met going to support me more than those that you would think would support me long term? And I honestly don't remember. I don't have this moment where I vividly remember this happened, but I think I just sat down with myself and did an audit of my life and saying, why am I going to put the energy into people that don't care? And I think one of the most eye-opening things to me was in late 2020 when I hired my first employee, Destiny, who quit her full-time job, saw my vision, and decided to come on board. And she's still with me 5 years, almost 5 years. That's crazy. But when she, a complete stranger, saw the light in me and saw the vision and saw where we were going with it, I was like, okay, we're onto something here. Maybe I should start trusting that gut. Did I cry after she signed her paperwork saying, I hope I could pay her salary? Of course I did. But that's where I said, okay, we're going to make this happen. We're going to do it. And why am I going to give the energy to those that don't see what I want to do? So to me, all the scary things have happened. I've lost people. I've ended relationships. I've sold a house. I've traveled solo. I've went and met someone in another state that I met off LinkedIn, which, be safe out there. I was fired. All the scary things have happened. I've cut people off. But the crazy thing is I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Is everything great and wonderful? No. There are plenty of times. If you would have asked me in December 2024, if you should be a business owner, I would have told you absolutely not. December was arguably one of the worst months I've had in a long time, in years probably. It was very, very tough. Shout out to Dan, my perfect boyfriend, partner in life, who just talked me. I mean, I cried every single day, I think, for the last 2 weeks of the year. And it was hard. And even just thinking about that now, it's getting me emotional because I do struggle with ADHD. I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with depression. And not all of this is easy. I wake up sometimes on the top of the world. The next day I can't get out of bed. And that's just the nature of how it goes. Throw in seasonal depression and we have a beautiful concoction here. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Life is freaking hard and it freaking sucks a lot of the time. I've had financial problems. I've had to ask for help. I've had to go through loan processes. I've missed payroll. I mean, I've been through it and it is freaking hard. But everything in life is hard. If there's a clear path that's like, oh, this is easy and this is great, we'd all be doing it. But it's crazy to think about how we're in our own head so much. It took me forever to even start this podcast or put myself out there, put myself on social media. And for what? Who cares? Like, put yourself out there. The right people will come in your world and the right ones and the wrong ones will leave. I can tell you that so many times. And I think it's a matter of us taking the steps, and whether it's baby steps, doing if you want to start your own business, do the research on how to register your business in your state. Talk to someone that's a business owner. But you have to ask for what you want. I've made so many friends this way, or building connections. I've walked up to complete strangers and say, hey, I really love your vibe. I would love to get coffee soon. And I have actually ended up how I've met some of my closest friends to this day. Does this always work? No. I've had people where I go up, I compliment them on something, or I give a comment. They're like, oh, nice to meet you. And then I don't let that get to me. I know you're not for everyone. Not everyone's for you. And I know that specifically about myself. I talk a lot. I know I'm a lot. But you know what? I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader at the end of the day, regardless. And nobody's going to appreciate you more than I do. And this is where building those connections, being in the right rooms. I don't like going to the stuffy suit and tie business events. I have freaking blue hair. I volunteered to go on Channel 4 News in local Detroit to dye my hair live because I'm saying yes to opportunities. And my face is blasted all over the internet right now and on local TVs here in Metro Detroit. But that's who I am. I love my blue hair. And if you're not going to work with me because you don't like my blue hair, my tattoos, or whatever I have, I don't want that kind of energy in my life. You have to be in the right rooms where you're accepted and people don't care the way you look. People don't care if you're having a rough day. I forget where, I think I read this on a meme or saw it on Facebook, whatever it was. And it had said, instead of telling people when they ask you, oh, Angela, how have you been? Instead of responding, oh, I'm okay, how are you? Tell people how you're doing. When I started doing that, life-changing. In December, anyone that asks me, how have I been? I go, I've been a train wreck. I have been a mess. Life has been very hard on me lately. And sometimes people are like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Or others would say, my people would say, how can I help you? What's going on? Let's get coffee. I'm coming over right now. I'm sending you a big hug. Let's get together. And it's not even asking for help, because I had a very hard time asking people for help. Before I started this business, I was like, I could do everything. And Destiny will tell you, I still have problems with saying no to people. We've gotten better, but I want to help as many people as I can, I should say. But when you have those right connections, and it's not a one-sided relationship or friendship or partnership or even employership, that's where things happen. That's where you progress further. And that's where you should start doing. And I think you should do an audit of your life. What is bringing you the least amount of joy? What is taking away your energy or making you feel like, oh my gosh, I want to just sleep in bed forever. I have no energy anymore. Check when you go on those coffee dates. Check off those phone calls. And I'm not saying I work with all perfect clients and everyone's great and everything's wonderful. And I love all aspects of my life, because there's plenty of days. I just shared with you so many of the days that are so difficult and hard and just dark. but little steps you can change. That friend that is just an emotional drain on you every time you see them, maybe you distance yourself. I'm not saying you have to do a clean cut if you don't feel comfortable doing that, but distance yourself. Your energy is so important. Is there a client driving you crazy that is just never happy and is just miserable and you just can't, you get anxiety every time you see their name pop up on your phone? Maybe we fire them. Do you hate coming home because your partner is just not supportive or just not where you need to be? It makes a difference. As someone who's had very unsupportive partners to a man that I say jump, he says how high, and does everything and then some for me and is so supportive, it really makes a difference when your partner supports you and your best friends. And with my friend group too, the nice thing is all my closest friends, we don't talk every day. Just got together with a good friend. I haven't seen her in 9 months. I saw her right after her baby was born and we haven't seen each other. But that's okay. We talk once a month, maybe. We see each other, and all my friendships I can pick back up on. We could go a month without talking. We could go 5 months. We could go 5 years. And it's like nothing has changed. And although I wish I made the effort to connect with people more, but it's sometimes hard. We have marriages, babies, divorces, kiddos, jobs. I mean, life's insane. You move. But those people in my life, I send in, hey, little check-ins. Hey, I'm thinking of you, even if it is 2 a.m. Or, hey, how have you been doing? How can I help you? Or, hey, let's put something on the calendar. I'm very big about, you want to get together, let's set a date on the calendar right now and we'll make something happen. And I think all of this is hard. I mean, none of these decisions in life are easy, as we've talked about. But if you have that gut feeling you need to make a change, whether it is with a job, whether it is a relationship or anything like that, start taking the step toward progress today. It could be a baby step. It could be if you're looking to leave a relationship, okay, start looking at places or start gathering your things if you live together, or approach going to therapy first as a couple. If you know in your gut this job isn't forever, update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, get little things in order. Because one step forward is a lot better than 20 steps back. Because it's a lot harder to dig yourself out of that hole you're in when you're in it. And I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to sit here and say I have it figured out, because I don't. I learn every single day. I learn through the School of Hard Knocks, as our Detroit Lions like to say. But it's crazy out here. But I found I progress further when I'm more vulnerable with people, when I build connections. When I say to my partner, I need a freaking hug right now. Like, I need you this week because I'm going through it. That's okay. You can do that. But I think we're all a little too hard on ourselves. And instead of what if I don't get it? Okay, well, what if you get the job? What if you leave that relationship and you're extremely happy? What if you find your person? What if you decide to go on that trip that you've always wanted to and you saved up for and you have a life-changing experience? I think it's so easy to fall to the negativity. What do they think about me? Okay, well, what if these other people think about you in such a more positive light? That's what you have to think about. And I challenge you that. I mean, we're in 2025, y'all. We're too grown to go back. We're too grown to serve our energy and send our energy into anything that's less than fulfilling. We need to progress forward. We need to be all that we can be. And that way, on the days that it is a little tough to be that way, we'll survive. We will survive. It's okay. So I challenge you. If you're listening to this, if you're still listening to this after my 20 minutes of rambling, do something that challenges you. I listen to my own podcast. I hate the sound of my own voice. I try every time I have that negative self-talk to talk myself out of it into a more positive light. If I need support, I reach out to my people to give me that support. I do a little something that's scary every day. And on the days where I can't get out of bed, my dog, Ruby, comes and cuddles me, and we go through the depression episode together. And as always, if you need support, You know where to find us. Follow our content. And if there's any comments you have, or I want to hear your stories of overcoming something great. You're all incredible. I appreciate and love every single one of you. And thank you again for listening to another episode of That's Business.
If you're looking for a career change and you're not sure where to start, the Resume Rescue can help. Sure, there's no such thing as the perfect fit for everyone, but here at the Resume Rescue, we're on a mission to find the perfect solution for you. Whether it's changing careers, updating a resume, learning LinkedIn, or practicing interviewing, we have you covered. Find us online at theresumerescue.com and find all of our contact info in our show notes.